Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on IPHatch Hong Kong briefing webinar today, organized by HKTDC, His Future, and many of our supporting partners. We would like to thank HKTDC for their continuous support and are very happy to do this in 2022 with HKTDC as our partner. Hope you will have a very fulfilling session today. Many of you may not know about IPHatch, so here is a recap. IPHatch is an open innovation challenge inviting startups and SMEs to bring business concepts to fruition by commercializing IPs of renowned technology leaders. In this webinar, we will have Jason Low, CEO and founder of His Future, sharing about the importance of IP for SMEs and startups, and also about the IPHatch Innovation Challenge. Jason has more than 20 years of experience in startups and IP scene. He was trained in Harvard for business modeling and is the world-ranking top 300 IP strategists. After that, we will have our IPHatch past winner, Tony, to share his experience and tips for winning the challenge. Lastly, we will close the session off by Jason Low sharing more about the patent portfolios on offer and our application closing date. Please feel free to raise any questions that you have in the chat box, and we will answer them during the Q&A session. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Jason Low. Jason, please.
Oh, thank you, Wang Hang. All right. So today we're going to start the many series of activities that we have for IPHatch Hong Kong. So right now, just let me share my screen. All right. We'll be first going through a very quick sharing with you why IP is so important for businesses nowadays. Then after that, we will go on to like what Wang Hang has just mentioned. We'll bring on one of our very innovative startup, and he will be sharing with you his experience and also his own business model. And I hope that you guys can learn a lot from this session. All right. Without further ado, just let me share my screen. Okay, I believe everybody can see. So I'm going to make that full screen. So first of all, IP strategy. All right, a very big word to many people. I think a lot of small medium company, a lot of startups, this is something that they usually cannot imagine. What do you mean by IP strategy? You know, and why do you need to even have that? All right, in your business. So this is something that I hope by the end of this session you guys will learn. Why is it important? What can you do with it? At the same time, if you have questions, do jot down. Either you put it in the chat or something, or wait for the end of the session. I'll try to answer them. All right. So IP, all right, or intangible assets to be very broad. All right. So what is all this? All right. Typically, in any business, there will be some form of intangible assets. All right, because you will be doing your own business, you will have your own customer list, even you are saying that I'm just doing trading business. What kind of intangible assets I have? It could be your contracts, all right? It could be your customer list, like I just mentioned, all right? For people that are doing more technology-based business, it could be intellectual properties like patents. It can be also very related to your business brand, which what we call sometimes trademarks that you can file. All right, and many other things like know-how, we call that trade secret. So many aspects of a business can be considered as an intangible asset. And if you guys Google, right, or maybe just do a search on the internet, you will see that many articles are already saying that intangible assets are having more percentage weightage in terms of the value of the company than the actual properties that you have. For example, like factories, buildings, machinery. The intangible assets value is rising day by day because we are now more or less in a knowledge-based economy, all right, where a lot of the value of the companies reside in the intangible assets. And this is just something I kind of referenced to the Intellectual Property Office of Singapore. You know, they did a very good job by having this particular so-called illustration. What is intangible asset in a typical cafe? All right. So if you look at the whole entire slide, you can see it's very easy to understand. So for example, you have a teapot or coffee pot. All right, that could be a design pattern or design intellectual property that you may own. All right, the know-how of making the coffee, all right, is what we call trade secret. All right, the brand, like in the aspect of Starbucks, Coffee Bean, or any other local brands that you may have in Hong Kong or the region. Basically, those are trademarks, all right, that you can file. All right, if you don't file your brand, all right, you cannot consider them as in intellectual property because they are just your brand. However, if you want to protect it, you make sure that you have your own trademark on that. Today's our focus is very much looking at patented process, inventions, how to make so-called a solution for, or even like kind of a process that is unique to your own. All right, so a way that you specially process the coffee or something like that, sometimes we call that patents, all right, or inventions. So if you look at your business, is very easily you can start to identify what are your intangible assets and what are the intangible assets that you can translate into intellectual property, which like I speak more legal, with more legal standing. All right, so that is why it is so important for you to know today, if you're not aware of it today, that intangible assets are very important. All right, so today we'll try to zoom in a little bit more because it's a very broad topic, but patents is one of the most technical, would say. I mean, very technical, very much a lot of people wouldn't understand. It's a technical document that lists down your rights, all right, and also describe it about technology. And patents have been a very, very valuable source of knowledge for the world because all the inventions that companies or individual have invented, they document down into all these documents called patents, or legal documents called patents, all right, which protect their invention against other people from illegally using it, all right. At the same time, all right, it become a resource of the world where we can actually improve our lives, all right, through this knowledge. So basically, patents are is actually rights of individual countries. All right, so for example, you have patent in the US, you have patent in China, all right. So each location you need to have you have to file individually, all right. Of course, there's some other easier way of filing. We call it through the WIPO, which is the World IP Office. There are some methodology you can file your patents through them, or even any other things like trademarks and so forth. All right, so looking at this, patents are just simply technical documents that detail down what are the business usage. At the same time, the methodologies to fulfill the invention or the process or the system or the method that you are doing, say for example, brewing a special taste of coffee. All right, so this is patents. I hope I give you a very quick understanding of that. And of course, IP in a company, patents is mainly for technology company, all right, with some kind of technology within their company itself. But like I say, even the cafe could have patents. However, when you're talking about your IP strategy, now we actually zoom down, right? Instead of just looking at a definition, we now look at what is IP per se that you need to care about. Number one, all right, IP takes some form of efforts, sometimes even budget, all right, to actually look into the aspect of how you can actually have an IP portfolio within your company. You need to also start off by looking at IP audit. In here, we say perform an IP audit regularly. But for example, most of the startups or even small medium company, they never even do even a single IP audit. This is something that you should ask yourself. Do I have any IP in my company? Can I find and define any IP? All right. So if you have not done anything, try to do an audit on yourself. We encourage you to do regular audit because as you are getting busy with your business, you may come up with ideas, you may come up with something, or you have generated something which you didn't know. Okay. And if you have a brand, say for example, don't forget to register them. All right. Say for example, in a cafe, and for example, if Starbucks didn't register their trademark, everybody else in the world would have kind of used Starbucks, right? Because there's no rights to kind of counter, in a very, very simple way. All right. So if you have a brand, if your product has a way that you call it, all right, even your software, you want to sell your software, you want to say, oh, I want to, like Office, like Microsoft Office. So Microsoft Office, they have PowerPoint, they have Word, they have the Excel. So some of these are trademark, they can trademark that brand. All right. So remember, anything that is going to have a business impact, there is some form of intellectual property protection on them so that you can protect your business. Okay. And of course, with IP, you need to always look at your business is not just in the location that you started. If you're in Hong Kong, say for example, are you going to branch overseas? Will your products ever ship across to the US, to Europe, to China, to Southeast Asia? If they do, you have to consider a global strategy. All right. And a global strategy will be even more in terms of budget. However, it may be very important for you to secure that. If you look at multinational company, the word multinational company already tell you that they do have their protection all over the world. Why? Because they know the importance of intangible assets and intellectual property. Okay, so for startups, all right, I believe many of you may be in the startup space. There's always kind of a failure, right, to create a IP audit plan because they are too busy with their business, and a lot of times you fail to even protect yourself by disclosing too much information to anybody else in the world because you're excited about business. You forgot that you need to have an NDA with some of these competitors or partners or anything, because the moment you release the information, there's no way that you can, kind of draw it back. It's not physical information, or when you say something or you present something, it's knowledge that you pass on. All right. So in order to protect yourself, you may need to file the IP first, or you may need to get an NDA in place. All right. So and also at the same time, you must know that IP is also very important based on the market that you're going to enter. Right. Say for example, if you're going to the US market, you need to know it's not just your IP. There's many other people's IP. The other many people's IP, they are so savvy, they will come after you if you launch your product there. They will ask you for royalty payment because it's their rights. All right. If you didn't check it, that is the risk that you may face. All right. Some may be very trivial. They just ask you for licensing fees. Some will be more critical because you may be threatening their business. They may file for injunction for your product and you may be stuck. All right. So that could be very, very crucial, if let's say you didn't take care of your IP. So in a nutshell, how do you actually start? All right. So we give you a four steps, all right? 4 simple steps. Number 1, I think we have emphasized this a few times. You need to audit your IP. All right. List down what you have coming from your brand to your domain to, kind of ask yourself, what have you generated in your business so far? Number 2, you may need to analyze your competitive advantage for yourself. What are your core technology or your core assets or your core IP, that actually gives you an advantage in the market? And number 3, you also need to analyze who are the guys that's out there that may be doing your business, all right, or maybe even providing support to your products or services or so. All right. all these could be something that you can, get a good understanding. And then also ask yourself, how can this translate into a strategy for you? All right. And you may have contracts as well. All right. And all these contracts will also come to some terms. For example, there may be some contract that you sign with suppliers that you get them to indemnify you from any legal lawsuit. And then you can say, oh, so I can just use any lawsuits that come to me, I'll channel to them. All right. So these are things that you have to look out, in your whole entire business. And after you do all this, you have to also ask yourself, if you're a tech company, if you're even a service company, you should have some form of roadmap. We call it innovation roadmap. So with the roadmap and all that, and with all the auditing and all the different information that you get, these 4 steps, if you do, you need to start to sit down and ask, how could you better package all this strategy that you have and have some kind of future planning for it? I can be very outright to you. Almost all the MNCs will have some form of strategy in their IP. How many IPs they want to file per year in that technology, how they want to secure themselves. Especially in the very, very tech-driven companies, they will say, oh, we want to be the top technology contributor to this space. They want to have 1,000 patents covering every single other things. Something like that. They will set some goals, all right? And you being a small, medium company, you won't need to have such a big plan, but you need to ask yourself, what can you do as a start, all right? So that is the 4 step that we advocate. So some of the startups will always ask this question, why do we need to care about IP? All right, the answer is you do not need to care. You can still build your business. Especially in Asia, right? This is a question usually I get from Asia, because a lot of the startups in US, Japan, and even Europe, they seems to know this importance. So the whole thing is, with IP, it helps to create more value to your company and a little bit more trust by your customer, because they will feel that, oh, you must be something in order for you to be able to get to have all these different IP within your portfolio. It could be patents, all right? It could be copyright. It could be even trade secrets that you have within your company. And all this, you could actually try to match up to competitors. You can do a comparison. You also can ask yourself, are you stopping other people from coming into your space? Because patent is all about protecting your own business space. If you have a methodology to create a special taste coffee, this special taste, if you know that you have to go through this process to get that taste. If someone do it, you know that there's no other way that he can go around it. And you will be able to protect your business, because you can go to him and say, hey, I think you're using my technology. It's either you take a license from me, or please stop making that coffee anymore, because you're infringing on my intellectual property that I have. If you don't have a patent, you can only look at him coming into your space and do nothing with him, because you didn't protect any of the inventions that you have. All right. IP could be also a way to promote your technology reputation. So for example, I always like to quote like Adobe's around. All right, Adobe Labs. They are a company. They do licensing of their technology. So they are just a technology licensing business. They license their technology to many different players in the market. All right, anybody who make TV speakers and all that, they will use their technology. And they happily also let them use their brand, all right? Of course, there will be some licensing terms. It's a form of business. It's a form of reputation, all right? So that is why startups should start looking at their IP from early, because you don't want to be chasing your IP strategy when you're getting bigger and bigger, because you may be losing some of the core inventions that you have, okay? So don't fall into the trap. So if you have IP early in your company, some of you may have pitched to venture capital before, this is usually a checkpoint that they ask. So do you have any IP protecting all the inventions or all the business you're talking about? All right, if you have, they will be happy to hear it. And of course, if you don't have, they'll start drilling you, all right? So I wouldn't say how important different investors look at IP, all right? For me, it's a very important element. For some investors, it will be a checklist. Okay, for some investors, they may not care so much if depending on the stage of the company that they are investing. Okay, So it is not a one answer for all, but definitely is a good value for your company. So let's go through some of the success story of how some startups actually leverage on patents, to make their business. So I just give a few examples. Like TechVance is a startup that we invested in Singapore. They are very much tech based. All right, they are looking at tracking, deep tunnel tracking of workers and so forth. They have technologies from Nokia and Panasonic, and then to implement it into their business. And from there, after they implement it into their business, they are growing new portfolio day by day, all right, coming out with new ideas, adding on to the invention that they have gotten from these two companies. And I would say they are growing very, very fast and having a lot of commercial projects because they are very business driven, but they are very tech driven as well. All right, so that actually helps them to speed up their so-called R&D process because they have a direction to move to. So this is one company that is kind of really building their foundation on existing technologies from these two companies. We also have another Singapore company that is looking at wearables. They are now very much in the metaverse space, helping medical industries, in terms of a lot of so-called different kind of use case, like if you go to their website, you know that they're actually looking at the parametrics, that to help identifying the patient, what kind of conditions they have, and they are doing very, very well. And what they have done is previously they have one patent from Panasonic. Now I think they have like 8 or 9 that they filed, and their company valuation is growing leaps and bounds every day. So it's very amazing on how these guys, university startup, how they are actually moving ahead with building technology and having a very strong mindset on IP. And definitely, recently they told me their valuation is very, very nice. And one of the biggest point that they realized is that they need to protect their inventions because they have a very unique method that they have created, and they say that this is going to change the way you operate smart glasses. All right, so which is fun. All right, once they are launched, I'll let you guys know the next time if I have chance to speak to the same crowd again. Okay, and then we also have another startup from Hong Kong, right? They tell me one of the issues that they have, they've been trying to file patents for years, and they recognize the value of patents because they're a tech company, right? They do network coding, and not just that, they also want to complement with hardware business like sensor business and so forth. So they also they file their own patents. At the same time, they leverage on patents and technologies from Nokia, and then to build their business. And they are now growing very, very fast. In fact, recently I just hear that they just expanded to Singapore and doing some trials with some of the potential customer here. Very, very exciting to see how they are developing their business. EC Bento, another company in Hong Kong, very much looking into the digitization of food delivery and also new lifestyle. All right, I think they have a shop somewhere in Wan Chai or something like that. But then anyway, they are also leveraging on technologies, and they are very, very savvy in trying to protect their own interests in the aspect of intellectual property. Algogene, all right, so we have the founder with us later, or we will get him to share more. Basically, they have a phenomenal platform that actually helps users to generate new algos. They can use that to program. At the same time, you can leverage many of the functions that they have created internally from their own R&D, and also leverage on patterns from Nokia and Panasonic, to actually help them to create more AI engines. All right, this one we'll hear from them more. I shouldn't go into detail because let's hear from the founder himself. All right, and then Dressio is another company that is very interesting because they look at the human skeleton detection and then try to see how much accuracy are you performing the different forms of exercise. Watch out for him. He will actually come to share more about his startup in the coming weeks, and he will share how he has utilized the technology and built new technology, and how this is changing the world of entertainment within homes, and also how he's working with some cable operator to launch this product, and in the future how he's going to actually roll this out globally. So let's hear from him again on this. But very exciting company, looking at a lot of so-called human body detection for more accurate movement, exercise, and any other activities that you can think of using some of the technology they deploy. All right, so these are some of the examples that I can see how startups actually leverage on technologies that they acquire, and also forming an IP strategy. So I talk a lot on how you guys can think about your IP strategy, but also at the same time, I also want to tell you that there's another form of information out there that is so valuable, which actually multinational company always use, which is patent information. All right. Imagine, maybe some of you may know, there are some blogs monitoring Apple patents. Why? Because they want to tell what Apple is coming out in the next product. Are they coming out the folding phone? This is some of the topic that they talk about, right? In fact, it is very true. From patent information, you can actually see what kind of direction the company is going, especially tech company, because they spend millions and millions of dollars to do R&D. Where did all the output go? They go into patents. All right, they go into patents to lock the value, and then after that they launch the product, because they don't want to do R&D, open up the information and let the whole world use. So they definitely will protect their inventions. If you're interested, look at what Apple does. All right, I personally have done a project on Apple, in terms of intelligence. Last time when I was back in the corporate, we try to see what are they thinking, and we accurately forecast what are the things that's coming out in the next few versions of iPhones, and what kind of platforms that are coming out. It's very, I would say, is highly accurate, because they are facts-based, not expert views. Because facts-based means the company filed the patents, information are from the company, not about some expert viewpoint. Expert viewpoint, usually they can be highly accurate. However, they may be also not accurate, because it's personal viewpoint, right? Factual based analysis is what patent information can give you. And patent intelligence, from all this, you can use different kind of information that you have, that you can check on the market. You can look at, you can also access such information from Google. You can look at litigation. What are the litigation that's going on in patent litigation, and see what are the hot topic or hot technology area. So if let's say you look at the US, most of the time you can actually reference them, is that the hot topics are usually communication areas. And nowadays, the automotive, all the EVs are coming out, right? So the EV area, there's a lot of litigation going on as well, because as more and more cars become connected, more and more lawsuits will come. All right, and then those what we call that is the hot topic areas. So you can always look at all these different sources, use them in your own planning. A lot of time, startup have no time. It's up to you to allocate your time to do that. I can understand startups are so busy, but it's just that if you can spare some time to get someone to do it, or even buy some reports, it will help you in your business planning. Okay, patent intelligence also help you to understand your competitors, or the desire of which kind of company you want to become. For example, you want to be the next Google. Really study what Google has done in their inventions. All right, study their patent portfolio and ask yourself, are you even better than them? And you can try to inch towards what they are trying to do, or even do better. Or you can try to do in the space that they are not doing. Sometimes we call that white space, whereby you can find opportunity to complement their business. That could also help you in some ways, because there are some people who come to me and say, how do I get into the radar of getting MNC to buy me over? The answer is you have to build your company to the aspect that they will be interested. It's either you become very strong in the competitive area they are in, or you become very strong in the area that can complement their business. So I'll just give you a few examples, like voice detection. There are some companies that are very good in voice recognition, has been purchased by many MNC because they need the voice recognition element for some data analytics and so forth. And that is something that some of these corporates may not have, and they look at acquisition target by looking at what kind of patents they have. And if they are technology based, definitely patent portfolio is something that they look at. Just a hint for you, for some of you may think, hey, how do I get to be bought over by MNC. Yeah, technology portfolio is one. Another method, of course, is your market coverage. Sometimes MNC is lazy to build their network. If you have a good market coverage, yes, they may buy you over and then immediately take over the source. All right, so these are some of the things that you can think of. IP landscape, like just now I mentioned, it could be a good source for you to plan where you head. This kind of strategy is very, very good to be deployed, and even tell your VCs, all right, that say, for example, you are very, very strong in this area, if you can look at my arrow, then yeah, you guys are the strongest in the element. Then to the VC, yes, there's a very good chance that they will recognize your value, and hopefully they can get invest in you in the valuation that you want. All right. So IP landscaping, there's many ways of visualizing. However, this kind of information, you need to buy some tools, all right, which is available in the market. You can always search this online. All right. Predicting of trends is also very important. Pattern information, a lot of times, have so much power. I mentioned what is the next product that Apple is going to launch. Yeah, you can actually do that using pattern information and plus some other information that you can gather from the internet. All right, that is the legitimate way of doing things. You're not having a spy in the company, but you are actually doing intelligence. And with the intelligence, you do the analysis. It can help you in your own planning, all right, and direction. If you're a supplier to this so-called big company, say Apple, right, you also want to know whether you can actually supply the parts that they need. So you may be complementing your business towards them, which is very, very common in the market. I came across a company in Japan that is doing lens, all right, they do camera lens. And they can do the very thin lens, such that they can put into the mobile phone, and the form factor is still very thin. All right, so one of the potential customers they had, I mean, this was a few years ago, it's Apple, all right? So, and immediately my friend told me the valuation of this company is flying because they got inquiry, they potentially can supply the lenses to all the mobile phone makers, all right? So imagine if you're in the space, how do you actually predict what you need to do, all right? This is one way. All right, so I think time is also running out, so I don't want to actually spend too much time. We're going to go into fire chat. So visualization, like I say, is very important for your strategy. To summarize, all right, intellectual property is to protect your innovative product and services, increase your visibility, attractiveness, and value of your products in the market. All right, distinguish your business and products from competition. All right, have information, all right, access technology and business information and knowledge. Also reduce the risk of using other people's patents or proprietary rights. And last of all, intellectual property is an important asset for your company and improve valuation. All right, I hope I give you a good glimpse of why you should be looking at your IP seriously from now on, okay? So that ends off. If you have questions, I think you can post them in the chat or something. I'll try to answer them at the end of the session. Okay. So before I dive into the fire chat, let me try to give you why are we here today. This is our 4th year running, all right, in Hong Kong already. So we are very, very happy to be coming back and working with a lot of startups there. We always find the startups in Hong Kong very unique, and they have a lot of exciting ideas that could change the world. All right, and this year we are back. And for some of you who may not know about IPHatch, I just want you to watch this video and have a glimpse of what it is and who are involved, and and try to get inspired. All right, by all the past founders that we have joined the program. Let me play the video right now. All right. So right now we, like I say, we're in the fourth year, and at the same time, we are now on the phase two where we are having a lot of innovation activities. So this is just one session. There will be many, many other sessions that is coming out. Do look out for the Facebook post of TDC. All right. They will be informing you about what's coming out next and so forth. And there will be different content, and hope that you can join us. All right. So let me just give you a quick run through of what is IPHatch and who can join. As just now, my colleague Wang Hang already said, it's an open innovation challenge. Who can join? Basically, any companies, startups, or small companies who has a passion, all right, to utilize technologies from big multinational companies to build new technologies for impact in the world. We welcome anybody from all over the world, of course, especially in Hong Kong, to actually take on the challenge. And if you were to win, of course, we need you to be a Hong Kong-based company, all right, to actually join this incubation program. So IPHatch is an indefinite period incubation program that we designed specially to help startups to grow from their small stage to the very late stage that we hope. The program has been running for 5 years. We have over 40 startups that join us. Many of them right now at this moment, they are growing by leaps and bounds because usually startup takes about 2 to 3 years to start growing their business, which actually right now we have so many startups that is into growth stage, looking for new expansion. Some of them have so much business that they are, they are really, trying to struggle to actually go between funding or, just seek for more business. So it's all the good things that's happening. And all this journey that we're going to embark together with the startup that's with us, we actually help them all the way from, when they are very, very small to now even they are going into mid-size and so forth. So this is something that we are very excited to bring to Hong Kong again, the fourth year. And then we hope to work with startups there to actually help you in your startup journey. So one of the very important thing is IPHatch, and unlike other challenges, we bring IP to the table for you. So if you were to win the challenge, you will definitely walk away with the IP portfolio that is suitable for you. And then we will be helping you along the way in your business throughout with mentorship. We have a joint development council that we form. And also at the same time, when you're ready, all right, to access to funding with the VCs, because how to actually talk to venture capital, to be honest, it's always a science and an art, all right. It's not just an art, or because you need to have the science of it in a way that you need to prepare yourself. You also need to have the art of how you should present yourself to the VCs. And many of my startups come to us, when they started, all the VCs would think that they can't make it, all right. Or right now, they are of a different league. The VCs are beginning to look at them and they start to realize the value in front of the VCs. It's very, very interesting how we see the startups have grown. So I think Algojin later can actually share with you more on that. So what do you gain, all right, from joining IPHatch Challenge? Like I mentioned in just now briefly, I think I touched on most of this point. So the last point, which is most important, is the incubation program that we have, whereby you will be incubated with no definite period at your own pace, and we will help you and customize the program according to your pace, actually. So this is the timeline that we're looking at for IPHatch. We have launched this challenge actually late last year, all right? And it's quite usual for us to drag a couple of months so that people get more aware and all that. And the deadline for submission right now is 30th of June. So you have some time, right? Our website have all the information. You need not worry that if you miss anything, then the pitch day will be in July. All right. So now we are conducting many briefings. We are even having a hackathon that is coming out where we will be mentoring the startups on how to use the patterns. If you really think that you are very excited about the program, do sign up for the IP hackathon because it's usually oversubscribed and they get so much invaluable information and guidance in that session, which is going to be very, very helpful for your startup journey. All right. So with that, I would like to bring on Tony, all right, who is one of our very exciting startups that we have in our portfolio. We can say that he's in the fintech space. All right. And he is definitely going to share with you what he's now doing and what he's going to do next. All right. So let me bring on Tony.
Hello, hello everyone.
Hi, Tony. Good to see you. So anyway, let's start. Just want to talk a lot about you during the briefing or the sharing of the IP strategy. Maybe can you give us a quick introduction of yourself first, then what AlgoGene does, and what are the exciting things that are happening to you and AlgoGene?
Sure. Hello everyone. My name is Tony, the founder of AlgoGene. It is my pleasure to talk to all of you today. A little bit background about myself. I'm a graduate from the University of Hong Kong, studying mathematics, actuarial science, and risk management. I also have a master's degree in computer science. And before starting my own company, I worked for hedge funds and banks as a quantitative trader and risk manager. And in 2018, I found my first company, AlgoGene, which is a fintech startup specializing in algorithmic trading technology. We are the first online platform in Hong Kong for learning, developing, testing, executing, as well as investing on trading robots. We also built the first ever worldwide algo NFT marketplace to connect global algo developer with investor. Basically, our company serves for both retail as well as financial institutions, and our company vision is to help market participants to invest in a more scientific and automatic way through the AI and big data and data analytics. Yeah.
Very exciting. I think I didn't even know that you have this NFT marketplace. Congratulations.
Yeah, it is a newly launched marketplace.
Yeah, tell me more about it. I'm interested to know. I'm not sure about the crowd, but why don't you describe a little bit more about your NFT marketplace? Because this is such a hot topic
Sure.
for the past months, and I think, yeah, tell us, because I think the speed of you launching that is also very amazing, because I don't think I hear from you half a year ago, and now you have already launched. So maybe you want to give a little bit more insights to what can we do with this NFT market.
Sure. Basically, an NFT is basically a digital identity to prove the ownership of a person. So when we are doing trading algorithm, basically there will be a several form of NFT. The first one is the algo creator NFT. So basically, the creator when they have the ownership of their own trading algorithm. And then each piece of trading algorithm adjust their own work. And when they list their trading algorithm on our marketplace, they are entitled to the public investor are entitled to subscribe to trading algorithm and to enjoy the copy trade service. But if the algo creator think that their NFT they want to sell it to sell their ownership to someone else, they can also do it, and also through our marketplace to sell it on the OpenSea or some other NFT marketplace as well.
I think that's awesome, because I think you just solve a very important puzzle, when about the algorithm itself, how do we pay these guys? Because a lot of times, this is something that comes to my mind, because I'm also familiar with algo trading. It's just like, there are so many people having algos out there, and then everybody's like offering everyone their algos to trade, and most of them is kind of crap. The whole thing is that at the end of the day, somebody may have copied that algo, because after some time, what's the trigger point and all that. Yeah, there's no way to protect it, and I think you have done a good job, to get people to utilize your NFT system, that you can protect your own rights, which is part of IP. Fantastic. I mean, I'm excited to hear that. Hopefully there will be more and more better algos that's coming out, and then we can try to subscribe that. Yeah, because I'm a strong believer in quant and algo trading, because the human clicks are never faster than the robots. All right. Okay, so thanks for the introduction, Tony. I think it's very, very exciting to hear that you're growing fast, which is one of the characteristics of any startups that has to have, which is growth. All right, so I think you did it well. Always very important to excite investors. All right, of what you're doing in the next 2 months, 3 months. You know, the roadmap of what you're doing. All right, and I think you did very, very well. So since you joined us in 2020 in the IPHatch challenge, maybe can you give some insight in the first place? Why do you join IPHatch challenge? You know, and also what's your experience so far till now joining us?
Honestly speaking, we haven't thought of winning the competition at that time. As a startup, we just want to gain more international exposure for investor, media, or public audience. As IP has a very good network in the Asian region, not only in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and also this year, I know they have expanded to Japan. It is really a great platform for us to showcase our innovative solution and technology. So we participate in the competition basically for getting more pitching experience and collecting feedback from the industrial professional. Winning the patents was just a bonus to us. But luckily, we finally won the competition and got 3 technology patents from Nokia and Panasonic. It is really a promising results to us.
Fantastic. I mean, it's interesting how people actually join the platform. You know, some people they like the pattern. Some people, yeah, like you say, they like our network. Some of the people say, I like the program that they have because it's very customized. So I mean, happy to hear from you. So far, how's your experience with us? You know, are we always coming down your neck, asking you what you're doing, and what's the experience joining IPHatch program?
Actually, I think the program has a lot of benefit, not only to the technology development, but also it is helpful for business development as well. For example, the first benefit is about the business network I just mentioned. As you know, due to the pandemic situation in recent years, many startups actually encounter difficulty to expand to overseas market. However, IP has a very strong network in Asia, and through Jason's connection, it allows us to reach out a proprietary trading firm in Singapore. We did some project with them and also co-organized an algo trading competition in Singapore last year. And now we are still in collaboration with them to host another crypto trading competition, a global contest this year. Jason is really helpful to connect us with overseas business partners and other potential clients. Not to mention, Jason also connect us with some VC firm in Singapore, and hopefully we may close a fundraising deal this year. Another benefit is to enhance our business image. In fact, in Hong Kong or many other countries, the financial industry is highly regulated. For fintech startup, it is very difficult to convince well-established financial institution to adopt our solution. After winning the competition, we have integrated the patent technology into our platform. And now when we approach some asset management company or banks, we can present that our solution are backed by some technology pattern. And then they now have more confidence on our product, and they're willing to do some prototype to further to have a further product trial. Yeah.
Well, that sounds really awesome. I mean, I'm happy of the progress that you're having, and also the congratulations to your global competition that you're holding this year. I think that would be very, very exciting to see towards the pitch. I mean, I'll definitely join the final pitch and see what are the exciting algos that's coming out, because I think that is a very, very important space that is going to grow tremendously over the next few years. Even though, you know, minus all the market condition right now, it's the best time, to me, it's the best time to invest right at this moment. Okay, so coming back to the patents, right? I hear that you say with that, it helps you to open up doors with institution, they have more confidence with you. So some of these guys may be asking, so what kind of patterns do you actually want, that helps you in your product? I mean, want to describe something on that?
Okay. Actually, we got 3 patents, 2 from Panasonic and 1 from Nokia. The patents are related to data matching and object detection. From the patent documentation, it actually involves a lot of sophisticated mathematics theory like graph theory and abstract algebra. Even I studied in mathematics and computer science, it still took us 3 months to fully understand the whole methodology and also to implement it and develop our own library for that. As we are doing algorithmic trading, we have managed decentralized data warehouse, which cover more than 50 terabytes of data. And there are also more than 30 gigabyte real-time data set fitting into our database every day. The pattern technology are used to improve the efficiency of our data engine to achieve a generic data query for different data type, not only the textual data, but we also support the image, audio, and video data. And it actually helps us to strengthen our whole platform stability and also the performance.
Sounds really very awesome. And I think separately we should have a talk to see how you can follow the new methods that maybe you are thinking about right now after using those patented technologies from Nokia. But bear in mind, those technologies are now in the rights of yours. They are all been assigned to Algogene, and these are your patented technologies that you implemented now in your platform. I think we have a comment from the audience. All right, they say, just wondering if the NFT project is different one from the project, the 3 patents that you got from Nokia and Panasonic. I think you just answered that. They are not licensed, but actually they are assets of Algogene. They have one more question, is about what is your business model for the NFT business, which I also think that you have explained just now, is to help developers that you actually that use your platform to be able to get some kind of recognition of what kind of algos that they have developed and deployed in your marketplace. So yeah, I hope we can answer we answer to this this attendee here. Yeah. So last question I have for you. Yeah. So how do you think IPHatch is different from other competition? I mean, if you have joined any others, and what are the key difference and key benefits you think? I mean, I know that you talk about key benefits, so maybe what are the key difference? Any thoughts on that between IPHatch and other competition that you may have joined?
Yes. We have joined some startup pitching competition before. I think there are 2 major differences. The first one is about the competition itself. For other pitching competition, it focuses more on the business side, where the teams usually present some innovative business idea and to explain why their business model works. However, for IPHatch, it focuses more on the technology or the product side. The judges are coming from the patents owner, like Panasonic and Nokia. They are quite interested to know how the team will apply their patents to some other areas. The second difference is the outcome of the contest. For those pitching competition, winner will usually receive a certain cash prize. For startup, of course, we welcome all kind of funding. But cash prize is just a short-term benefit. While for IPHatch, we will get the technology patent, which is more practical to strengthen our R&D process, and it can also create a more long-term impact to our company growth.
Yeah, I think awesome. You summarized that. I mean, you highlighted some of the gist of why we are going to be different. I mean, of course, the other competition are also very good, but yes, those are exactly what we hope the startup will feel. That we want them to be fundamentally strong, build a strong foundation such that they can face the technology, the technology world in a very, very confident way, which I think, Tony, you did very, very well, and definitely very excited to see how you are developing all your products, services, and leveraging on technology. I guess you have a very strong pitch now, which I think definitely towards the end, in this year, you'll probably see some good progress in your startup, and even getting some more very strategic investors into your platform. All right, thank you so much for your time today. All right, I will carry on this chat with you in another private session in another day, and appreciate your time and sharing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, let me just finish up the rest of my slides, because some of you may be asking, so since we are having this IPHatch challenge and so much exciting things that is going on for our startups, so what is in for our fourth run this year? So let me just share back the slides. All right, this year, similarly with other years, we will be offering a range of portfolios for the Hong Kong market. All right, and these are a glimpse of what are the portfolios that we have. The differences between the Sapphire portfolio, which is highlighted here, and the Ruby portfolio, basically we actually run it in this way. All right, we let you have a few choices. You can have the Sapphire portfolio that are bigger, which is having more patents, like Algo Jin's case. He has chosen a Sapphire portfolio in the past, so therefore he has 3 patents that has been assigned to him. So this year, similarly, we have 8 different portfolios that we bring out from Nokia and Panasonic. So within this 8, they are all at least a double portfolio. All right, so it means that there will be at least two patent family in each of this category. All right, so you have the audio differentiator if you're in the audio space, 3D world if you are looking at 3D related imaging. You have the sense and track, you have cardiac sensing, you have advanced conferencing, which is more dealing with video conferencing. Now, neural network circuit is basically AI. All right, we're looking at semiconductor technology. Sustainable smart building is, you can imagine. Hydrogen detector is actually the portfolio, especially that Panasonic bring out for some kind of license to detect hydrogen in the air. And of course, Portfolio X. All right, Portfolio X is, if you cannot find anything there, choose that. All right, we will try to help you to match. If not, we'll bring something out from the IP bank when there are a lot of demand in the same space. All right, so this is actually Sapphire portfolio, and we also have the Ruby portfolio, which is more singular patents. All right, we have IoT patent, the power distributor, we have bionic arm, we have image modifier, we have media guardian, all right, which is more looking at how to protect your information security and so forth, and a metadata advertiser, which is more in the metadata space. All right, all this information you can find on our website. So I just want to go through a few so-called how do you actually read it. Okay, like what just now Tony had mentioned, right? So how do you actually look at the patterns? First of all, you need to know your own business. All right, like what Tony does every day, he crunch data. So when he found the patterns from Nokia and Panasonic, it helps and enhance the way he do the data crunching aspect. So this audio differentiator is basically a combined portfolio from both Panasonic and Nokia. All right, each of them looking very much into analyzing sound data, all right, and differentiating them. And at the same time, this kind of information you can actually be used in things like, detection of integrity of your motor vehicle, say for example, engine sound, voice detection, all right. So you can use in many, many different aspects. So what we actually put in here is that you can put in communication device, you can put into emergency vehicles, you can put into audio-visual technologies that you may deploy. Please understand that technologies like this, they are base technology or they are core technologies. You need not look at how you can apply them in your space. Maybe you say, oh, I'm a fintech, why am I needing this? You may be surprised, maybe you're in the fintech in that space to do insurance for vehicles, all right? And maybe you'll be detecting all the different sounds, say, oh, this guy, he always rev the engine and maybe creating a lot of different stress on the vehicle, and he has been driving recklessly or whatever. So a lot of intelligence are going into new businesses. We always look at how can a startup or how can a new business be created is by looking at how new impact they can create in that particular business area. So just now, the examples I gave you is just some of the examples that I think of my mind. All right, they may or may not be real use cases, but it's definitely viable. Because I'm always doing business models and always creating new business model. So the startup who join us, all right, if they are able to convince the judges that they are good in their, technically or in their business model, there's some glimpse of very good impact that they can make, we will further help them to refine their business model once they're in our program. All right, so this is just one portfolio that I would like to just highlight. There are many others out there, like Sense and Track. It's still a pattern from Nokia and Panasonic. You get both Nokia and Panasonic as your virtual investors managed through Peace Future, and you will be communicating with them very closely. So how does this pattern works for you? Basically, it helps to detect distance, and determine locations and so forth. So there's many things that you need to deploy now, like in the area of robotics, in the area of logistic tracking, surveillance, drones, that will use such technology. The question some people will ask me, why Panasonic and Nokia are taking out such technology for the companies to use? Because both of them are very strong believers of open innovation. They hope the startups will be able to create new impact for them, all right, using their technology. At the same time, there's also a possibility that these multinational companies will be working with you, because we do have a couple of startups in our investment portfolio. They are working very closely now with one of these the multinational companies that we in our as our client base. All right, and very interesting on how they are actually helping their business in the own startup way. All right, creating new business for such MNC. So I urge you to look at the portfolio closely. All right, like what Tony has said. When you look at the IP, when you get it into your business, it creates more trust from your customer. And at the same time, it gives you a very strong foundation for you to grow your business. And this is what we hope that you can actually, when you look at the IP, this is how you should look. So I show you two Sapphire portfolio. Let's dive into, what is so-called Ruby, all right? But before that, let me emphasize to you, if you cannot find anything, doesn't matter. There's still portfolio X that we specially help startups to match. All right. But if you found something that you love, better choose that one, because you be very specific. But if you really cannot find, but you think that program is suitable for you, you should choose portfolio X. And in Ruby, we also bring out like 5 portfolios, all right, like this IoT power distributor. To be very frank, I mean, everybody knows that we are in the world of sensor right now. And how do you actually manage to keep all these sensors alive when they are, all over the world? And a very important thing is battery technology. At the same time, battery technology, you need to know how to optimize such systems to make sure that everything is running, right? You have sensors, you don't want to cable them, you may want to monitor their battery. It could be renewables, all right? They may be using solar charging on the rechargeable battery, but there will still be lifespan, all right? So how do you actually make sure you have a very strong way of monitoring such power consumption across the board? So we have a pattern that is on that. To tell you frankly, all the technologies that we bring out, it is mature enough for the market. It's not rocket science. It is not something that, IoT is not a word heard of in the past, all right? IoT, the patterns that we bring out in this aspect, at that moment when they found this pattern, it's called ubiquitous network, whereby we're talking about the connection of everything. All right, now we use IoT, it's like a more sexy word. So to use this pattern, you need to think of the problem you're solving. And you can integrate that into your business solution, build on top of it, and build your own new solution as you move on. Like one of my other startup doing wearables, right? They're looking at smart glasses. They have one pattern on image stabilization from Panasonic. And now they have found more than 6 patents that they filed by themselves just to protect the new invention that they have based on those technology that they gathered. So I will encourage you to look through them in detail. All this information that you see now on the slides, like this bionic arm that we are, bringing out to recognize user movement and so forth. These are all online. All right, you can read them and see how you can deploy them in your business. Take note, The Sapphire portfolio, they are very, very nice, very, very good as well. The rubies are also phenomenal. As you can see, the bionic arm is really looking at the future technology in another wearable, all right, which could be very, very useful in the healthcare space, in sports, in many other aspects. All right, think of how you can create a new business model using such core technology. And if you are able to come up with a business model that complement that, you will be owning this piece of technology, and you can call them your patented technology. All right, so with that, I think I will just stop the presentation because I think it will take up too much time for me to go through everything. Do go online. All right, go to our website, have a look at our portfolios in detail. It's IPHatchday.com. Go to the Hong Kong, select Hong Kong City, and look at the portfolios. All the information are actually online. And if you have a question, feel free to drop us an email. All right, we will help. We are happy to actually address them. And yeah, get ready your pitch deck and start sending in your application. So with that, I will pass back over to, if there's no questions, if you have questions, all right, please send in. I don't think I see any question at this moment. All right, with that, I think, oh, sorry, I think I have one question from, I have some question. Apart from the summary and brief, where can I find more patent information? Okay, I think if you go online, right, in our IPHatch Day website, there will also be a link to the patent document itself, all right, which you can read in detail, and you can download the PDF as well. Don't assume that you just get this piece of so-called digital information. That digital piece of information called patent information is very, very valuable. It's the rights of the company. It actually worth few $100,000 to even more, all right, depending on the technology that you are going to get. So that so go to our website. There will be a link. You can go. We make it easy for you. You just need to click, and you will be able to see more information and can read from there. All right. If you have questions, do send in to our IPHatch email. Second question I have is that I said winners will own the patents. You mean Panasonic and Nokia will assign and give winners the patents? Yes, the answer is absolutely right. The rights of these patents will be transferred from Panasonic to the winner. For example, Algogene, they own 3 pieces of patent that has been granted, and they have been assigned from Nokia and Panasonic to them. And now it belongs to the assets of Algogene. And it adds on to the valuation, of course, right? So now that he has built into his business, it's even more valuable than before when he get it. All right. Just one last note to take note. Definitely there will be some conditions within the IP assignment. All right. When you win the competition, it will be as a form of investment in the company, and there will be some form of equity exchange. All right. So I guess I have no more other questions from oh, sorry, I heard another 2 questions. Okay, just let me pull it out. Okay. Second question, another question, what might be the percentage share of company equity for exchange of the patents? All right, you go online, you'll see basically Sapphire portfolio, they are bigger portfolios, they range from 8 to 12%. All right, however, the Ruby portfolios will be between 5 to 8%. Everything is online. You can have a look at that. We don't believe in although the patents are very, very valuable, and the program, the incubation program is absolutely free of charge to the startup, and it's an indefinite period of program. It's super valuable for the startup to join, but we are not looking at getting the startup to give us high equity. The reason is because we are doing open innovation. And we are organizing this with HKDDC for the 4th year. We are trying to help startups in Hong Kong and also Asia, all right, to be more technology savvy, all right, build strong foundation. Because I believe startups in Hong Kong, eventually, I mean, they are as good as those guys in Silicon Valley. And we want to bring such methodology and know-how into the ground. And I hope that you guys can join the IPHatch community in the future. All right, think no more questions that's coming in. If you have further questions, do send some more. Is there one? Tony? Oh, that one I answered already. Okay, so I pass back over to Wang Hang to close off the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason and Tony, for your precious time and sharing. And thank you all for joining us. We have come to the end of today's session. Hope all of you have a great afternoon. Stay tuned for more updates for our upcoming webinar series with HKTDC. Have a great day. See you all soon.